Welcome to the Influencer's Journey. This is where we explore the transformative power of mindset and the stories behind leaders who have shaped their own path to remarkable success. Each week, we embark on a journey to uncover the beliefs, habits, and inner strength required to not just be seen, but felt as a true person of influence.
Have you ever noticed how stress and anger physically shows up in your body? Like tight shoulders, headache, and fatigue? What if the emotions you suppress are silently sabotaging your leadership, your relationships, and even your financial goals? I am your host, Suzan Hart, and our topic today is unraveling stress, healing emotional blocks to unlock leadership and success. That title just creates such curiosity and such depth for me. And as I kind of tee up the show, what I want everybody to think about is those moments where you are so emotionally charged, whether it be anger, whether it be frustration, whether it be anxiety, whether it's that you want to regain control because you're feeling out of control, whether it's hurt. And what happens when you and I choose not to powerfully deal with those emotions? My question is for everyone that's listening, where do they go? Where do they go? Now, we hear over time that unfelt, undealt with emotion causes dis-ease, right? Dis-ease and disease. So how do we manage that? And why would just the emotions actually block our ability to create, block our ability to dream, block our ability to be financially powerful, but also block our ability to lead, to influence people and inspire them to take action? So as I was chewing on this conversation, and if you know me, I am journal girl. I think a lot, I journal a lot, and things drop into me, and I gotta just massage them. And then I go out and I go, okay, who am I gonna have this conversation with? Well, of course, I thought of my delicious friend. Delicious is the word. So I want to introduce you to this beautiful woman, and she is a well-being guide who has a professional background in education, leadership, and coaching. A well-being guide. Think about that. She has studied a variety of healing, trauma-informed healing modalities to support her clients. She is the founder of, get this, the Unravel Academy. She helps people from all over the world unravel big emotions and stories, heal the body, mind, and soul, and live a life others dreamed of. After years of traveling the globe in search of a delicious life we all crave, the delicious life we all crave, she now spends her life with her partner Matea between two homes in Italy and Australia. So if you're listening, just go, isn't that just like juicy and delicious? Please help me welcome my friend, Joanne Panetta.
Thank you.
Panetta.
Wow.
Panetta.
If you want to say it,
I just want to hear you say it, actually.
Okay, here we go. Joanne Panetta.
Panetta. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Depending on which home, it's Panetta or Panetta,
I love it. So I am so excited to meet you. So I got to create context for everyone listening.
Sure.
So I feel like I've known this woman for years, but it has been a few months. And I went to Bali for a women's summit, and we got to choose workshops. And I walked into Joanne's workshop not knowing what I was going to get, but all I heard was I was going to unravel, and I heard it was through movement and dance. Well, I'm in.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the experience was empowering. It was moving. It was delicious. It was freeing. It was sensual. We went all sorts of places. And because of the work I do in mindset mastery, and I believe that we are connected mind, body, and soul, I said, I need to collaborate with this beautiful woman. So here we are. And we are at the budding, juicy beginning of our collaboration. So, my dear,
Mm-hmm.
before we dive into what Unravel is,
Sure.
tell everyone a little bit about how you got to the point in your life where you were like, ooh, Unravel Academy.
What a journey. How long do we have, Suzanne? Because, this this is a lifetime, and I'm not even thinking my lifetimes, like the ones before me, like my nonnas and my great nonnas. It's all of us, I think. But I think the moment that it happened for me was I think when you say that statement, and I believe in Australia, like you the dream life, you've got it all, I had it all. And I absolutely had it all. Or so I thought. Okay. I was a good girl. I did all the things that all the people in life say you should. And I went to school. I was quite good at school. I went to university. I traveled. I got a great job. I bought a house and I met the boy and I got married and I did all the things that the world said I did, like I should, and I did them well. And then something unraveled, and that word came up. And everything that I thought was real was no longer real.
Mm.
And the shock, pain, utter physical and emotional pain that comes with that, and the mental confusion and absolute loss of awareness is really, really debilitating if you let it be. And in that moment, I didn't know that I could choose if it could be or it couldn't. So I rode the waves and I rode it and I went with it. But in 2018, my life did unravel. Everything. I was divorced at a very young age. And I coined that as with this phrase, it was the best, worst thing that could have ever happened to me. In that moment, I don't know if I would have believed that, but now more than ever it is. And I just really want to let that land for people, because there's been so many people that have had challenging things happen, and you think to yourself, this is it. Like, it's over. And the word unravel is everything just unraveled. Like, it's just
Such
gone.
a great descriptive word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it speaks for itself as soon as you say it. Like I see things just rolling out of control, and I've been there. 20 years ago, my life unraveled with force, and I, like you, was totally debilitated.
It's like when I think about it, I feel the physical response in my body. The remembering is not just in the mind; it's in the body, and it's definitely in my soul. And this is why I do the work that I do. But to stay on this line of when it all happened, I was absolutely broken, and I say I died. I feel like a part of me really died. But then, just like the phoenix, I had to rise. And what I did was call on every ology. I mean, you name an ology, I've done it, Suzanne. I've been in every experience because I chose. I chose to no longer be a victim of my circumstances. And you and I could talk about victim and creator for days, right?
Mhm.
And so in that moment, that's what I chose. And I chose to shift the narrative. And I knew that I had to take some kind of radical responsibility and push myself to the furthest edges possible to learn a new way. And so I did. I embarked on an incredible journey for the next few years, exploring, traveling, learning, experiencing, traveling the globe, and studying and exploring modalities to help heal my heart, my mind, my body, and my soul. And on that journey, I had a really fortunate experience of learning about meditation. And I've studied the depths of meditation. I love the brain and I think it's extraordinary, right? But then in all of that came also this awakening of this single woman in her early 30s who had been with the high school sweetheart basically forever, that had no idea about the body. And so then and then I started being like, I've got to go dancing and I've got to connect to my body. Then living abroad, I did Tai Chi, any kind of movement, any kind of meditation. And I had this like toolbox of amazing things. And at one point, I was sitting there chatting with my psychologist, and she said to me, "Stillness, Joanne. Come on, stillness is important." And the little rebel within me went, with all due respect, it ain't for me.
Mhm.
Like, that's not working for me because my mind is racing.
Yeah.
Why can't I have the magic of meditation with movement and merge it together? And that's how the narrative of Unravel came, but was alchemized and changed because it was no longer, oh, everything unraveled. I'm like, everything unraveled.
Unraveled. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you feel that?
absolutely. And I understand that. And it's interesting because my background, we come from the Caribbean,
Mm,
and everything in the Caribbean in my mind is movement and rhythm.
mm-hmm,
Um and stillness, not so much. You're
mm-mm,
sleeping when you're still, if you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean. But it's movement and rhythm. And I feel my most connected when I'm barefoot, dancing, and in movement and rhythm. I feel the
mm.
most alive, I feel the most grounded, I feel the most connected. So I can so relate because quiet meditation is oh so challenging for
Mm,
Suzanne.
mhm.
However, movement and dance is freeing, and in those things happen for me.
Yes.
I think the other thing that I'd love to just kind of get your thoughts on before we dive into where we're supposed to be going
Mm-hmm.
is I'm gonna talk women for a moment.
Yeah.
And one of the really interesting things you said, I believe women and men, but very much women, that in society, I have this sense, and in the work I do, women, their bodies are here.
Oh, oh, I
And,
felt that.
and there's a disconnection here. And the
Mm,
reason I do the Freedom Retreat is because I want to reconnect and realign this. And I think that disconnection is from our sensuality, our sexuality, our power, our strength that lives in the depths of our body. And so
mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about that and the unravel process and a little bit about, kind of what is the unravel process.
Sure. You have absolutely nailed it. The fact of the matter is I talk about body, mind, and soul, but we automatically just go to mind. And this beautiful mind of ours has such a capacity to create and think and plan and structure. We put a lot of pressure on her, right? So what about reawakening the true part of our intuition, our sense of connection to something greater, but also this amazing vessel that we have? And for women, it's literally a life-giving vessel, right?
Mhm.
And so what's fascinating is when we look at unraveling, there's a 4-part process to it. And very much a teacher, like I have a background in education, in elementary education, and that's where I started my career. And now, as I weave those two worlds together, I couldn't help but make a structure. Like that's who I am. So the first step is to recognize, right? It's 4 R's. We recognize what's there. And there is a little bit of stillness. We recognize what's all going on in the mind, in the busy, 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 busy mind. But then what we're encouraged to do through the techniques of meditation, breath, and intuitive movement that is specifically designed for certain parts of the body, I guide people to drop
Mm.
down and begin to scan the body and become curious to recognize what sensations are there or not there.
Mhm.
Learning to develop a bit of an ability to visualize or to sense or to notice. And we drop down, 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 down into the body to be able to start to recognize the physical sensations, the narrative that we have attached to certain parts of our bodies, the dull ache, whether or the fiery burning or the creakiness. And how do we develop language to be able to articulate what's going on there? So we recognize, and that there is a really important part where we start to quiet the mind and teach ourselves how to recognize and understand from the heart and down into the intuition and the body. And
Mm.
for the female, that's what I believe is the powerhouse. And you talk about culture and movement, and me too. I grew up in an environment, I can't keep my hands still. Look at me. Movement is such an essential part to express. But most movement and dance modalities and healing modalities involve the hips, involve the belly. And we're not kind of used to it in my opinion and in my experience in the Anglo-Saxon world that I live and play in, and the Western world that has been structured around, I guess, more masculine energy. We've kind of been taught not to tap into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little taboo.
Very rigid,
very rigid, and so learning how to listen and slowly unravel and get into the fascia and the energy of those areas of the body is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when release comes in, right? Release was the part I think you loved the most about the workshop. We went there.
Yeah, we did.
And the release aspect is where we call upon, well, I certainly call upon, like, my playlist is fire. And my playlist is a collection of music based on the energy and the environment of where I'm hosting the workshop, right? And so in that case, I wanted to take people on a journey. And most of the time, it's a cultural journey of the lands where I've danced, moved, and healed. And so we tap into that. We were in Italy. We were in East Africa. We were down on the desert sands of the Australian, Red Centre. We went all over Asia. And that body and that movement, the way that we move our body releases. Okay. And also emotions and different aspects of release come through. Lots of crying, lots of laughter, lots of wooing. It's beautiful. And then we relearn by bringing back an awareness of the body-mind connection. And I could go into this in so much depth, but to sum it up, it's this ability to recognize that each part of our body, you nailed it in your description, holds emotion and can create dis-ease. So that pain in your shoulder is so much more than a pain in your shoulder. There's a connection, and I teach you how to understand that. And then we reflect what's working, what's not. How does it feel now? Now that I go out into the world and I am how I am, what am I noticing that's different? And then we start the process again. It's I hope that articulates it in a way that is clear.
It does. And it brought me back to when I'm going to use your word, my life was unraveling. And what I knew is I needed help to unravel and stay what I call sane.
I hear you.
Because it was too many things coming at me, and it was in my body. I could tell I had lost probably 15 pounds. I was 15 pounds underweight. I had shoulder aches, back aches. Like I was in pain. And it was a point in my life where I was going to and back and forth with the doctor. And if you've heard me speak on this, and my doctor told me I was healthy but not well. And I stopped in my tracks because I did not get what he was talking about. And I remember him saying to me, Suzanne, how you're doing life is not well. There's nothing physically wrong with you. But your body is holding how you're doing life. And I was like, huh. And I remember the minute he said it, I started crying uncontrollably. Uncontrollable, like the dams released and so on and so forth. So I decided I was going to go to a chiropractor, but I wasn't going to get physically adjusted. I went to a network chiropractor. If you know network, it's tapping an energy, unblocking energy. And I remember when I went in, and my then doctor, Dr. Evan, hello, he put his hand on me and he said, you came in just in time. He said, you are so blocked here. And I remember him saying, when we finish working on you, you will find your voice, and the voice is not yet ready. And I was like, oh. And by the time we finished, I had found in me a level of self-expression and voice that I did not know existed. And it's interesting because there was power there. There was creativity there. There was a language of expression that I had been afraid to use. And but it was the physical release in those blocks in my body that emerged this power and voice and grounded. And it's really interesting because the most common things people say to me is you're grounded and you're
Mm.
powerful. And I'm like, mm-hmm, I understand that now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that, doctor?
Oh yeah. Oh
Can
yeah.
we let's just take a real moment, that general practitioner, I'm assuming there, that was just like calling out something that, is quite deep and quite profound. What an incredible practitioner.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Jamaican born.
Mm.
So it was almost like he went home and started speaking to me. Not from his medical training, but from
Mm.
his cultural awareness.
Mm.
And just a beautiful, beautiful soul. And it forever changed me. That line will never leave me. You are healthy, but not well.
So powerful. I felt it from the crown of my head to the tips of my toes.
Yeah,
I just think the more and more we start looking at wellness from a holistic body, mind, and soul aspect, this is the answer. And this is the key to a delicious life, in my opinion. In
yeah,
my very humble opinion, this is it. This is it. So thank you. I'm so grateful that you're able to tell that story and we get to experience the end result of all that work that you've done. Like I
absolutely.
remember I remember thinking to myself, my goodness, like when I grow up, I want to be like Suzanne. Like when I met you for the first time, when I met you for
Oh,
the very
thank you.
first time, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is incredible. This woman has such power, such presence. And I'm in awe, completely in awe.
Well, thank you. And I don't think I'm not sure if everyone's ready for the conversation, but we're gonna
Let's
dive
go.
we're gonna dive. So if you're joining us, buckle up, get us
Mm,
depending on where you're listening to us from, make sure to comment, make
mm,
sure to ask your questions, invite a friend, like our page, our podcast, wherever you are. And when I say invite a friend, share the conversation with a friend because one of the reasons I'm really committed to doing this is to inspire us to have these deep leadership conversations that I'm hoping will transform how we see leadership and how we lead ourselves and collaborate with others. So, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome back to the Influencers Journey Show. Our topic today is unraveling stress, healing emotional blocks to unlock leadership and success. And I know the two kind of sound like, how do they go together? I am sitting down with beautiful Joanne Panetta.
yes.
And I'm just so curious. So I want to talk first about the first thing I wanted to ask you was how does stress and unsolved emotions show up in the body? And
Mm.
how does it affect, and this is where I think we're going to go really to this really interesting pace. How does that affect our ability to lead and inspire?
It's such an important question. I'm a person who believes that the body, like there's so many books and stories and information out there, the body really does hold. And there's a fantastic novel called The Body Keeps the Score. I'm not sure if anyone's read it. We can pop it in the notes of your show as well, where it actually does retain information, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And if we actually don't have the ability to understand, process, and kind of clear out anything that's no longer serving us, from the physical body, it impacts the ability to lead, to show up in every single way, particularly how we communicate, our presence, and just our way of showing up in the world, right? And I want you to kind of almost imagine that sensation when you walk into a room, okay? You walk into a room and you notice someone there and it makes your body begin to clench. You know that feeling.
Mhm.
Your shoulders kind of raise up, your body language shifts and changes. Now, it may seem really subtle, but when you then go to communicate in that space, it's coming from that energy.
Yeah.
It's felt, it's heard, and the message that comes across is not as soft, powerful, and important as it could be. So if you don't have body awareness, if you don't have those things, that ability to notice that you're doing that, show yourself some love and have the tools and strategies to go, okay, hold on, hold on. Am I operating from this space of clarity or from this energy of fear, judgment, whatever it is that you've walked into that space with? It's going to shift the end result and impact of that conversation radically.
This is so key, because I know that I can, you can sense people when they walk into a room, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
see some people, they'll walk and you can see uncertainty, you can feel anger, you can feel tension, you can feel control, and then you can feel grace.
Mm.
And you can feel inspiration. You can tell when someone's grounded. And I always say to everyone that I collaborate with is that your body walks into a room before you ever open your mouth. Like your energy, your signature,
Mm.
the way we carry ourselves is our brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it doesn't have to do so much with the size of your body. It has to do with how you carry that size, how you move in that place and space. How much health are you exuding? And
Mm-hmm.
it's those things. And I think it's so overlooked, and it'll affect your ability to get into a room,
Mm-hmm.
affect the ability to close a sale. It'll affect your ability to ask for the sale. It'll affect your ability to ask for the money. It'll affect your ability to ask to collaborate, all those things, because your energetic self is speaking loudly.
Mm. Mm-hmm. All of that. And you can be as absolutely sharp in your script, if you want to call it, your pitch and everything. You can tell the difference,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And I teach this to the 11 and 12-year-old children that I work with in schools. I'm like, are you operating from your asset or your wound right now? Because I'm sensing something a little different here. My friend won't play with me versus, what am I going to do about that? What's going on with my friend? Why won't they play with me? Like, it can be taught from a very young age. How are you
And
operating? What
how
energy are you bringing up?
powerful, how
Mm,
powerful. What energy am I moving into the world with?
yeah, yeah. And we use that language because I could be sitting here with you right now, Suzanne, talking. And if it was from my wounded kind of energetically stuck self, the message wouldn't be coming across. There's
Mhm.
a softness, there's an awareness, there's a knowing because I'm so aware of my body. I'm so aware of my body. Did I always have that knowledge? No. But now that I do, I feel I have a responsibility to show others how to do the same. I really feel that,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's almost like I say, I'm in a bilingual relationship, right? Like I've got this delicious Italian boyfriend and me. And we often say our communication needs to be like watching the film in Italian with English subtitles and vice versa. But also sometimes it's watching the film in Italian with Italian subtitles. And what that means is the clarity and the assuredness of how we show up in the communication from the body, the mind, and the soul. And so we have to be constantly working on that part of ourselves to make sure that what we're portraying to the best of our ability is the clear truth of what we want to say.
Yeah.
You know?
And as you were talking, I was just so present to communication and conflict and
Mm,
relationships.
mm,
And I am that person that my one of my highest values is open, honest, timely communication.
mm,
And I can't tell you how often people will sit in front of me and I won't even ask them what's wrong. And I'll be like, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to share, communicate. And they're there, oh no, I'm fine. And I'm like,
mm.
your body language is telling me you're not. Or I'll be saying something and I can just see the shift in body language. And I'll be like, what's up? Nothing. Okay.
Mm,
It seems like something's up. No, I'm fine. And so I think it is to be present to it. Like I know for myself, I can feel in my body when I'm resisting. I can
yes.
feel when I'm open. I can feel super when I'm controlling. It is my stress go-to. Um, and I can feel it, and I've learned to do the work. You know, I remember coming out of the pandemic, and I went through the pandemic, business did well, all these things did well. However, I suddenly started having these aches and pains, right? And it was like, and I remember going, I gotta have someone help me with this. And everybody was like, oh, you know, you're getting older. Wrong answer for me. That's not it. I know my numbers are clicking. However, I'm not getting older in my world. That is not the answer. And so, you know, starting to work, and it became about getting back to movement, getting back to expansion, getting back to, the only thing I can say is unknowingly, as we're going through this thing called the pandemic, where there's all these things happening, I am tense.
Yes.
And I don't know it until it becomes a way of being that hurts.
Mm. Mm.
And I want to share this because it could have affected my leadership and my ability to produce and my ability to inspire if I didn't get present to it and begin to address it. Right. And I think it's that's why I think what the work you do is so key, because we have to create that alignment and be, it's almost like you're navigating and you're scanning and you're going, what's happening? Why is
Yes.
this hurting? Is this because I had a great workout, or is this something else?
Yeah. And it's that curiosity. It's a basis. Unraveling for me, the process is about curiosity. It's about asking questions. And when the first question isn't clear, ask why. What else? Why? You know, keep going and keep being curious, not judging, not assuming, but just continue that curiosity with grace. Yeah,
And
it's so important.
And I think, you know, as we just go a little deeper with this, what I love about this process is it is steeped in curiosity, one, responsibility,
Radical responsibility.
radical responsibility,
Mm.
100% responsibility,
Mm.
and constant transformation.
Yes.
How amazing is that? So, you know, so when we're unraveling,
Mm.
what are we looking to do?
Mm. Mm. I would say, what are we looking to feel?
Okay.
Yeah. And the word is spaciousness. I want to feel clearer. And I want to feel a sense of radical responsibility and ownership of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then I get to choose how I think and operate. You know, choose the parts that suit you most, and maybe put aside those other sensations, feelings, and ways of being, and you pick them according to what's needed. I hope that translates,
It
because
does.
it's
And I
yeah.
and I love the polite correction, because it's so important, because what are we looking to do? It's like, no, we've done enough
Mm-mm.
doing.
Oof. Yeah,
It
yeah,
really is around what am I looking to feel?
yeah.
I love that. And then you bracketed it with whatever you're feeling. Don't go into good, bad, right, wrong.
It just is.
Form of judgment.
Mm.
It's really about sitting in acceptance about the what is so.
Yeah. And when you operate from that space, Suzanne, doing won't feel like the hustle.
That I know.
Yeah. 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 When you do, because I'm a doer. Oh, I'm a doer. Like, I'm a should girl, good little Italian girl, like did all the things. Like, hello, I created a whole life around it, right? The radical responsibility is acknowledging that part of myself, and thanking it for getting me to the point that I am today, but also knowing that as my numbers also add up and change, as I evolve from this maiden energy into more of a grounded energy, I actually deserve and need to do less and feel more and take action from that space, right? So that's a lot of habit breaking. That's a lot of habit changing, you know, and that's the work that you do. And I've learned so much of that from you as well,
You
you
know,
know.
when I went through my unraveling,
Mm,
and my unraveling was wrapped up in my pride about my ability to do so much.
mm,
And if I can be totally candid, my
always.
identity was in the doing, and I loved the accolades that came with, oh my gosh, how do you get it all done? Da, 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 da. And as much as I loved it, I resented it,
Mm.
right?
Mm,
Because I
I can
was like,
feel that.
I'm always doing and no one's doing for me. Um, Newsflash, you
Mm,
took pride in doing and you didn't ask.
yeah,
I took pride in doing, let me own it, and didn't ask.
yeah.
And so when I went through my own process, I came away with two things, Joanne. One was that I knew how to work hard.
Mm,
I knew how to be busy.
mm-hmm,
I knew how to be the first to arrive, the last to leave, the get her done girl. You can count on Suzanne. I knew how to say yes. I wasn't too good at saying no.
mm,
And so for me, I decided I was going to work smarter and I was going to learn how to produce in grace and ease.
mm,
And that has guided the last 20 years. And it is interesting because I produce so much more with so much less energy, hardship. And it's in this place of ease. And this place of ease is so full of abundance,
mm,
so full of flow, so full of attracting to me what I desire. And what I'm getting present to as we're talking is because energetically I'm attractive,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
When you're moving from grace and ease, energetically you become way more attractive.
mm-hmm,
That's a
mm,
powerful leadership concept because to lead is to inspire and influence. And if I am not showing up as attractive, and I don't mean pretty or looking good,
mm-hmm.
I mean like magnetic.
Like,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
then I can't have the same level of influence with the same level of ease.
yeah. You know, you opened our conversation with it's like we've known each other for a lifetime, yet it's only been a few months. And this is exactly why.
Mm,
Everything that you shared there is the embodiment of the woman I choose and work towards being every single day of my life.
mhm.
And everybody, men, women, everybody in the world has the right and ability to do that with radical responsibility and awareness and an open mind to unravel also the ways of being we think have worked maybe in the past and become curious with grace, ease, and love about, how could I do this a little bit differently? What's not working for me right now? You know?
And and I love, there's, when we talk about responsibility,
Mm,
I wanna break it down as people are listening because um when I often when I talk about responsibility, people collapse it with blame,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And it's like I'm to blame.
mm,
And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a level of accountability and a knowing that you have the ability to respond and be and feel and do different. It's
mm.
that simple. And I remember when I first got this, it instantly took me out of victim because when you're
Yes.
blaming, you're victim.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're blaming yourself or blaming someone else, you're victim.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to become empowered because I reclaimed my power back from all the places I was pointing it.
Mm.
And
Energy out.
right. And
Mm,
it was like, and
mm,
and when I talk about I say 100% responsibility.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it's the most powerful place to sit because you really find the hero that lives inside of you. That
So
person
good.
who can find the answers, find the solution, ask for help, do all these things. In order to tap into her or him, we are required to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That is delicious.
And
Yeah.
it's so, and it really is what it means to be empowered. And I
Mhm.
remind coaches, consultants, whatever, we can't empower anyone. We
Mm-mm.
create the environment for someone to do the work to become empowered.
Yes,
And
so
it
true.
starts with that 100% responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Mm. You know, even the semantics of it, the ability to respond, response, I'm able to respond, responsibility.
Mhm.
Oh, you know, we could, yeah, I love
Yeah.
language. So yeah, we can play with that forever. And it's such an empowering experience.
And you know,
Mm.
I think what's really neat about this is that when you have that mind-body connection and it's constant,
Mm-hmm.
the mind is a really interesting thing. So is the body.
Mm.
The mind, I always say the mind, one, it's a meaning-making machine,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's an answer-seeking machine as
True.
well. So I want really everyone to get present to the power. If you can unpack this a little bit more of what becomes available to us when we're curious and we are in full responsibility and we're scanning for information,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And scanning from information, not from here alone, but here.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the next level of availability that becomes present for us?
The first thing that came to me, and you might notice I close my eyes and I feel the question
Yeah.
because it has to be embodied. The silent whispers that are yearning to be heard. Okay. Yeah. It's a deeper listening. When
Mm.
we actually allow that beautiful mind of ours that is so powerful to structure and create and organize, like I'm grateful, so grateful for my mind. Wow. But when we actually begin to draw that energy into the body and the soul, the silent whispers that are yearning to be heard become a little louder.
They do.
Some sometimes they're screaming to be acknowledged, Suzanne. You
Mhm.
know, and that's when my work in trauma informed practices, they deserve to be heard because again, if we just push down disease, okay, and putting so much pressure on this beautiful mind, that's the chaos. So when we start to allow the silent whispers to be coming up and out, there is something magic that lies within. Like I love the concept of alchemy, going down in within
Yeah.
and taking what's a little unsure and curious. When we give it permission to come to the surface, look, I can't even keep my hands still when I'm explaining, come up to the surface, we can finally look at it. And there's magic in that.
There is, you know, it reminds me of the analogy when I was getting ready to do a talk about a year ago. Um, all of that kept coming to me is a diamond, is a diamond, is a diamond.
Mm,
And, you know, we have the saying diamonds are from coal. Well, I researched it, apparently not.
mm-hmm,
And what I found was that the material that makes a diamond um, lives at the core of the earth.
mm,
And it is when the earth is disrupted that that liquid begins to move,
mm,
right? It begins to move and it begins to bubble up. And it's the intense heat and the intense pressure that is movement that creates a transformation into a diamond.
mm-hmm,
And as I was doing, you know, preparing for this talk, what I got present to is one, it's a diamond is one of the hardest materials when it
mm-hmm.
gets transformed. But
Mm.
two is no one has to tell a diamond it's beautiful. No one has
It's so embodied.
no one has to tell a diamond it's valuable. We just
Mm,
look at it and know.
mm-hmm,
And so when we are going within at that level and we're unearthing the depths of us, we're in that journey of transformation into power and strength.
mm-hmm,
And I think what's also so interesting about this is that we live in a society that medicates those cues.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Medicates those cues. And so when we're attempting to get alignment, we're also battling a society that says, well, I got a pill for that. I
Mm-hmm.
got a patch for that.
Mm-hmm.
I got a drink for that. I got a that for that. And it is really being present to the discomfort and the movement.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you can,
And you nailed it with the word discomfort. Unraveling is delicious and brutal and expansive
and
and
messy.
painful. Messy. I love mess. Should have seen my classroom when I was an elementary teacher. Oh my goodness. Mess. But you've nailed it, because what I will add to your reflection about the society we live in the world that we live in, where we have a band-aid or a pill or something for that as well, we also have an energy of get on with it, do.
Mhm.
And therefore that doesn't create a lot of time for safe feeling, you know, to be present. And my mum, my beautiful mum, is learning this idea. She said, no, you know what, kids, I'm not coming over tonight because I'm just sitting and being present. I'm processing all the things that are happening.
Wow.
And I was just like, yeah, Mum.
Who are you?
And my brother's like, she sounds like you. I was like, you know,
I love
you
it.
know,
So
it's big and it's beautiful and it's bold, but we deserve it, Suzanne.
we do,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the world deserves it from us.
Yeah.
That's the other
Mm.
part.
Mm.
So if I'm listening to this show and I'm saying, okay, Joanne, I'm stuck.
Mm.
I'm stuck in my business. Money's not
Mm.
flowing.
Mm.
Um, Energy's off.
Mm.
Success seems to evade me. What would be if you give them three things to do? What would it be?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me feel that question. It's really common. I have a lot of people come to me with, I'm stuck. Okay. Um, get unstuck. So the first thing I would say to you is I want you to think about a moment in time where there was music involved and a song that just makes you want to move, cry, feel. Let the music be the medicine, number one. It's
Mm,
really fascinating. Like this is, yeah, usually
I
that's
love
like
it.
practical music medicine. Okay. The simplicity of the way music can transport us to either something we would love, somewhere we've been that's felt fantastic, or something that's dormant that needs to be felt is incredible. So the simplicity of music and movement. And the idea of just, when you're driving to work and you sing in your car, it like shifts your energy.
Yeah.
You'll be vibing at a whole new level whenever you walk into where you need to be. So it's like connect to the music, okay? And then I think within that is the movement. How are you moving your body? How are you getting rid of that stagnant energy? When you're cooking, are you rigid? Are you rushed? When you're walking, are you head down? Are you moving? Like, how are you actually moving your body? Become curious to how you're moving the body, but also invite movement in. Have you changed up your exercise routine lately? How's it feeling when you're moving your body? Does it feel sore and stagnant? So just get moving. So music and movement. And then the biggest thing for me is communication with someone you know, love, and trust. Because the more we actually begin to share the vulnerable parts and we actually bring that to the surface rather than the fear and the keeping it to ourselves and all that kind of, again, closing ourselves off,
Yeah.
the more we actually have the ability to connect, because there's such a huge, profound power of voice and speaking it out into existence and taking the charge of something. Because when we actually allow that ruminating thought to continue, it's a very severe brain condition that everybody has. It's called MSU. It's called making stuff up, right?
Yes.
And we're really
Meaning making machines.
we MSU all the way. Again, the 12-year-old kids know about this, right? The minute you actually say it out loud, it takes the charge away. But it needs to be with a person you know, love, and trust that can just hold the space. Because when you say it out loud, you're like, okay, now that I've said it out loud, it's okay. It's real and it's aware. But what's real? What am I making up here? And what's real? What's fact? What's fiction? So I think in that order, it's also really important, just that ability to connect to some kind of music, to connect back to the body, and then that movement, and then that will make the conversation come up and out. That feels really true as a way that I would encourage someone.
I so agree. And I think it's trust the process.
Oh yeah.
Just trust, just surrender and trust the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I I have so much more to ask you.
Of
I know you're going to be back because
course.
we have many delicious, juicy conversations to have. And I think because this work is so important, I think this connection is so important, mind, body, soul. Uh, so we can be powerful, inspirational leaders that step into influence because we are magnetic. That is what we're up to in the world.
Thank
So,
you.
Joanne, thank you so very much for sharing your time with me. And
Pleasure.
I always have a thought. So, this is the thought I want to leave you with. The energy you carry within shapes the world you create around you. Heal, release, and lead with clarity.
Beautiful.
So,
Thank you so much.
we will be back here next week. Until we meet, please know you are brilliant. Know you are oh so very special. And we do this work, we have these conversations because the world is waiting. The world is waiting for your unique gift. Blessings, and I will see you next week.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Influencer's Journey. Join us every week as we continue to explore the stories behind the leaders who inspire us all. Remember, the first person you lead is yourself, and influence is a byproduct of inspired action. Until next time, know you are brilliant, know you are special, and the world is waiting for your unique gift. This is the Influencer's Journey.